Wilson Adams is a quiet kid with a huge imagination. He waited every morning for the bus, watching the shadows play in the early sunlight. One foggy day, a weird bus showed up, but it was empty. No kids, no laughter, just empty seats. The driver, Mr. Holloway, smiled, but his teeth looked too sharp. "Come on," he said in a deep voice. Wilson got nervous and asked, "Where are the other kids?" Mr. Holloway's eyes got creepy and said, "They're on their way, just get in." Wilson's heart raced and he kept saying no. Mr. Holloway's smile faded and he drove off. The real bus came shortly after, and Wilson felt relieved but still scared. That night, he told his parents, who got worried and started making calls. Wilson realized he'd stumbled into something strange, a world of shadows and secrets waiting for brave kids like him. Jen Flores had a fascination with the spooky and strange. One night, her friend Mark persuaded her to join him at a local bar. At the bar, they saw a group of unusual performers who seemed to communicate with the dead. Suddenly, Jen realized her phone had vanished from her pocket. Panicked, she asked Mark to call her phone, and a creepy, raspy voice answered, then hung up. Despite trying, they couldn't reach the number again. Jen went home feeling uneasy. To her surprise, her phone was on the nightstand where she had left it. However, she couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was watching her, waiting to draw her into a dark, parallel world. Ken Anderson stumbled into a chilling mystery a few years ago. It all began when he rented an apartment from a friend. The place had been freshly renovated, but something felt off. Ken's neighbor, Mrs. Tyson, was the source of his unease. Despite being 35, she appeared much older. Her nights were spent immersed in radio shows, her voice echoing through thin walls. Ken's sleep suffered, and he decided to confront her. He knocked on her door, heart racing. Mrs. Tyson swung it open, revealing a bizarre scene. Odd symbols adorned her walls in gray and black colors, and words like "they're coming" and "come with me" covered every inch. The windows were blacked out, shutting out daylight. The apartment reeked of dampness, ancient yellow-stained carpets, and unwelcome guests, rats. Oddly, there was no sign of a pet, despite the lingering stench. The real terror struck Ken one fateful night. His girlfriend slept beside him when he woke up to a shadowy figure by the bed. Panic surged. Was he hallucinating? But the shadow spoke, a raspy voice belonging to Mrs. Tyson. She held something, a secret, a threat. "Lock your doors at night," she warned before vanishing. Morning brought more horrors. Below Ken's window, Mrs. Tyson chattered in tongues, clutching a plastic bag. The stench of death hung heavy. Inside the bag lay her decomposing cat. Ken's fear escalated. She was unhinged, dangerously so. Desperate, he sought answers from another neighbor. The man's eyes widened. Mrs. Tyson had invaded his home too, lurking behind the couch, power drill in hand. Ken shuddered, realizing what she'd held during her midnight visit. His fear turned to resolve. He dialed the police. They knew her well, an unmedicated schizophrenic. But they couldn't enter her apartment without permission. So Ken waited, nights blending into days. When Mrs. Tyson left for cigarettes, he made the call. Within minutes, police swarmed. They whisked her away, vanishing her away into an institution. Ken never saw her again, but her haunting gaze lingered in his nightmares. The lesson: some doors should remain locked even when the sun sets. Ana Gonzalez had always been a night owl. So when she landed a job working the overnight shift at a local campground, she jumped at the opportunity. Her shifts ran from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. and she found the work surprisingly peaceful. Anna would bring her smartphone and spend most of the night gaming, only needing to assist a camper or two during the quieter hours. One day, the third shift worker who was training Anna told her about a peculiar detail of the job. A payphone just a few feet from the small shack where she worked. It rings every night at 2 a.m. like clockwork, he told her. But don't worry, it's probably just an automated test call or something. At first, Anna didn't think much of it. She kept the windows closed during her shifts, so she couldn't even hear the payphone ringing. But as the summer wore on and the nights grew warmer, she started leaving the windows open. Sure enough, like clockwork at 2 a.m. every morning, the phone would ring with a strange muffled tone, as if it was submerged in water. Anna's curiosity got the better of her, and one night, she decided to answer the call. She set an alarm and waited by the phone until it rang. When she picked up, all she heard was silence, no one on the other end. She tried saying hello a few times, but there was no response. This went on for a week with the same unsettling results. Then Anna decided to try again, this time in early November. As the phone rang, she answered it, and once more, she heard nothing but silence. But as she was about to hang up, a rough, gravely voice suddenly spoke her full name, first, middle, and last. Anna's heart raced, and she quickly slammed the receiver down. Shaken, Anna gathered her courage and tried to trace the call. But the number was from an untraceable California area code, even though she was in Indiana. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was trying to contact her, and she didn't know why. From that night on, Anna kept a close eye on the payphone, but it never rang again. Still, the memory of that unsettling voice haunted her, and she found herself constantly on edge during her overnight shifts. Whatever had happened that night, Anna knew she would never forget it. It was a typical night for Alvin Laverne. He was just about to finish his night shift at work when he heard a massive crash. Alvin quickly got up from his desk to investigate. To his surprise, someone had thrown a large rock through one of the windows at the front of the building. This was especially strange because Alvin was working in the industrial district at 12 midnight and all the other businesses were closed. Alvin went back to his desk and made a quick call to security to report the incident. Then he decided it was time to head home. As he was leaving the building, Alvin couldn't stop thinking about the broken window. He started to feel uneasy, and before he knew it, he was running to his car and speeding off. Once Alvin was almost home, he realized something else that made him feel even more unsettled. He hadn't locked his car when he got in, but it had been unlocked the whole time. Alvin quickly checked the back seat to make sure there was no one hiding, but he found nothing. About 30 minutes later, Alvin got a call from a friend who was out drinking. Alvin decided to join his friend, so he hopped on his bicycle and started riding over. As he was pedaling along the road enjoying the moonlight, Alvin suddenly heard someone riding behind him. He straightened up and kept to one side of the road. The person on the bicycle passed Alvin very slowly, and as they rode by, Alvin could see that they were giving him an obscene smile. Alvin was taken aback by this, and as the person rode on, he realized they were riding his mom's bike. Alvin immediately sprinted home, his heart racing. When he arrived, he found that his mom's bike was indeed missing, and one of the doors on his car was open. The back left door, which he had no reason to have opened. Alvin was shaken by the strange events of the night. He couldn't understand why someone had thrown a rock through the window at his workplace or why they were riding his mom's bike. And the fact that his car had been unlocked the whole time he was driving home only added to his unease. Alvin knew he had to figure out what was going on. But for now, all he could do was try to calm down and get some rest. What sinister forces have they unwittingly encountered? Let us know in the comments below. And if you have any scary encounters of your own, share your experiences with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Fearflix for more videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you at the next one.